experience. And actually, I brought a book with me today that I wanted to
Oh, great.
recommend, if
Thank
you don't mind,
yeah,
I have
absolutely.
here. That is absolutely amazing. I found it very helpful. It's called First Break All the Rules by Marcus Cunningham. And I read this book many years ago. It's not a brand new book, so it's not going to have the 2 years ago. But the ideas in here really make sense. And I've been able to use it when I was at the customer service center and I had 30 employees. I had to manage these details. This is the place to get started. Some very practical ideas.
Terrific, terrific. Because we love to give resources to people in terms of where do you start?
Yeah.
What does it mean? So what are some of the questions that he asks in terms of what does make a satisfied employee?
Yeah, some of my favorite things, and I actually tabbed it, you can see my book here is kind of dog-eared, lots of highlighting, but some of the things are very basic. But there's things that, again, a lot of managers don't get training, and how do you build engaged employee relationships? I mean, how do you do that? I mean, I was never really officially trained. Where you go off to some school and they teach you how to do this? That doesn't happen. So one of the things that I love is just, do I know what's expected of me at work?
Wow.
I mean, is it very clear how I should be delivering the service that will get us to those happy customers, that will get us to business growth? Right. And my clients, I talk with them all the time about these 12 questions. I recommend this book a lot. I mean, one of my clients, what we did was write up a one-page sheet of employee expectations and how they should deliver service to their clients. It's a high-end painting company called Catchlight Inc. They're in Brookline. They do an amazing job already, but we wanted to be even more clear with employees so they knew exactly what we expected. I mean, you can't rate, you can't evaluate, and you can't congratulate employees when they're doing really well if they don't actually know what you expect of them. So
Yes.
some very basic things, but really can help build kind of that platform that grows your business.
Right, to absolutely have a connect between what's expected and that you're listening and that you're measuring. How do you improve things? And we do a lot of goal setting here on the show.
Yeah.
That in order, you have to know what you're expecting and what your goal is in order to hit it. And if you're not, well, how do you change things around? And that's by listening to employees and listening to customers to say, well, what you really want? Yeah. What really would make a difference? What's critical to you?
Yeah.
And that's so key.
Yeah.
So in terms of kind of how do you make that connect? How do you know when you're listening to your employees? How do you know when you're listening to your customers?
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, there's really, what comes down to kind of the foundation of the relationship, I always say, like kind of what can you boil it down to, is the two-way dialogue. Mm-hmm. And if that's not happening, it's just not working. And unfortunately, it happens in the customer arena and in the employee arena. I mean, in the customer arena, you have things like, contact forms on websites where you can send an email in and you never get any response back. I mean, easily 25% of businesses today don't respond to their email at all when you email through their website. Used to be as high as 50%.
Wow.
I mean, these are existing customers emailing you saying, hey, could you respond to me? So it's the same with employees where truly, are you sitting down with your employees on a regular basis? Are you giving them feedback on how things are going? I mean, the book actually says, how about in the last 7 days? I mean, talk about really getting specific and saying, in the last 7 days, have you sat down with your employee to tell them how they're doing well, any areas you might want to look at, things you might want to work on? I mean, truly keeping the dialogue going all the time, not just an annual review and sayonara kind of thing.
And employees love that. I do some counseling with people on job development and how do you promote that, and checking in with the people that you're managing. And they actually, one of the managers was wondering, well, do people really want that kind of feedback and support? And the response that she got was so powerful. And it was really like, people appreciated to know. You want to know when you're doing a good job. And you also, most employees want to know when they're not hitting the mark.
Right.
And it can be critical. I mean, sometimes it's like giving a gift. You have to give a gift that the person wants, that really makes sense for them. And sometimes you guess, but much times it's much better to ask, well, what would make sense for you? What do you really want? And how can we help deliver that?
Nice,
and if we can't, how do we determine that too?
Yeah.
And it really, as you say, creates powerful relationships that sustain.
Yeah.
When you feel heard and respected and kind of active listening, which we kind of talk a lot about on the show, too, in terms of how do you say, well, customers, what are you looking for? How can we respond to that?
Sure.
What makes sense?
Sure.
And people do choose what stores they will go into, what stores they will not go into, based on the experience they've had.
Definitely.
And there's so many choices and so many ways to respond. Now, like with the web, if you negatively impact someone in a way, they have a lot of tools and resources at their disposal to say, I had a poor experience with this company.
And those don't go away.
No,
they stay there forever.
Exactly, exactly. So you really, even in today's high communication error,
It's true.
you know, you really have to be aware and responsive to what people are doing.
That's for sure. There's a lot of discussion boards and websites out there. I mean, you can just Google any company, and unfortunately, what can come up on the first page is as many negative things as their own website and a few positive things. So you got to watch out. You've really got to be actively creating this experience that's exceeding expectation. That does begin right there at home, inside your organization.
Absolutely. Now, if someone wanted to talk with you more about the strategies or want to hear more about Customers That Click, how would they contact you?
Yeah, the best way to be in touch with me is via my website, because I've got email right there. You can be in touch with me. I'm kind of an email fanatic. So
Okay.
they can go to www.customersthatclick.com, and that's plural, customersthatclick.com.
Okay.
I've got email accessible there. I've got a blog they can check out. I've got a newsletter with messages. People can get free advice from a consultant. So
Oh, that's always good. That's
check
always
me
good.
out online.
And blogs. Tell us, you know, some people might not be familiar with. That's a whole new phenomenon that's just recent in the past couple of years. What's blogging?
And it really actually is being embraced by the business community as well, which is interesting. Blogging is like an online diary. It's basically entries that are dated and they're chronologically stored with kind of what you're thinking about, what's going on. And so I love to blog about my own experiences as a customer. It's a lot of fun.
So it's just your thoughts on an ongoing dialogue about a topic of interest,
That's
and
right.
kind of with your expertise behind it, and then other people can respond to it and
That's
kind of
true.
learn from it, and
Yeah.
it's more fluid than a book, because now it takes so long
right.
to publish a book that by
Yeah.
the time you put in
Yeah.
all the research and things, the things may no longer be current. So it's
That's
about
right.
what people are thinking about. So it's kind of creating an online community or an online resource.
You could definitely say that. And I enjoy getting comments back from people when I'm posting ideas. I'm posting suggestions about how to develop and improve customer relationships and employee relationships. So it's a lot of fun.
Right. Oh, that's excellent. Because a lot of us wish we could go to kind of a management. There are now companies that do like management training, like
Yeah.
because so many people get promoted because they're good at what they do, not that they're good managers.
Right? It's a whole different skill set.
It's a completely different skill set that a lot of people are never taking the time to learn it. So kind of that's a great resource, the book, in terms of thinking about, well, how do you manage people and how do you
Yeah.
bring people forward? And a lot of it is taking the time to listen and respond. Well, what are you doing well and what could you improve on?
Agreed.
And to have that dialogue is so important around, well, how do you do that? And
Tangibly, specifically, yeah.
exactly.
Yeah,
And
agreed.
also, how do you attract the kind of customers that you want, that make sense, that do business the way you want to do business? Because you want to find the customers that you can most satisfy and create a positive experience for. And if you can't do that, you want them to go to other people.
That's right,
So
yeah.
how do you do that?
Yeah.
So let's talk about who are the companies that are doing this very well. We mentioned a few. What are some other examples
I think
that you have?
Sure. Another example would be something like Costco.
Okay.
In their industry, warehouse kind of discount pricing, they go above and beyond. And there's actually, I think there's been books, there's many books that reference them. And you can read magazine articles about them regularly as well. They actually pay their employees more than any of their competitors.
Really?
They have better customer service than any of their competitors.
Wow.
Those two things are connected. I mean, they really, and the owner is often visiting in the store and shaking hands of employees, and
They
he
love
literally
that.
learns everyone's name. I
Wow.
mean, it's amazing. I've read a lot about them.
Yeah.
I'm actually a customer of theirs, but I think they're an amazing business example of investing in the employee, paying them a little bit more, taking care of them a little bit better, putting a priority on them and how to support them is bearing fruit in the customer universe. They're actually more profitable than any of their competitors,
Wow.
including Sam's Club, which is a Walmart,
Right.
is a great business. But these guys, Costco, has really thought about how do we start with the employees first, and it's really been seen in the bottom line. So that's a fabulous example. And you hear other ones like Southwest, exact same kind of story. They put employees first. They give them a lot of leeway. They train them, but they really let them creatively come up with solutions for any customer issues or problems.